robust matchup as we see more and more of it being played at a high level.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that Blue Flame probably will never be able to make its way back into Terran versus Terran for, well, I won't say never, but for quite some time. It is going to take a lot of upgrades or a lot of just very interesting builds as Blue Flame Hellions take 3 shots in order to destroy an SCV, but then again, non-Blue Flame Hellions take 4. As we see vV Rough spawning as the red Terran player on the north side of the map, and then is this NV Kiom? Spawning as
Yes.
the teal Terran player on the south side of the map. This is going to be full cross spawns, no close by air, which is going to be very critical to see what Ruff tries to do on a map like this. If it's not close by air, his drop play or Banshee play may not be able to be nearly as effective.
Yeah, you're right. It could definitely change things up. I think close air positions in TVT, one of those matchups that it really does matter. Sometimes we have PvP, doesn't matter as much. PvZ doesn't matter as much either. Airplay, not very popular. But, in PvT, TVT, these sort of matchups, definitely positioning is important. And as you mentioned, the cross positions here probably makes it more likely that we'll see bio or mech play rather than early banshee play. It's going to take a while to get over to your opponent's base. You're going to have to get around that watchtower if they control it. So we'll see what happens here. Both players opening up pretty standard with their barracks. Kiom does have a wall off though, so we'll perhaps be denying scouting.
Yeah, we'll see what Kiom does against Ruff. Now, yeah, Terran versus Terran. This is one of those matchups where it's either a player usually goes 1-1-1 or goes for a 2 racks expansion. So we'll see whether or not these players stick to the playbook or stick to the rules of Terran versus Terran, or if they try to deviate a little bit more. As the higher up you get, the more you can play non-standard because you know that your opponent may try to think that you are playing standard. We can see a refinery already in play for Ruff and no refinery from NV Kiom. So Kiom most likely going to be going for that early command center, and we'll see what Kiom or how he's going to follow this up once he knows that his opponent does have some sort of tech advantage over him.
Yeah, Tech Lab coming immediately for Ruff, and he didn't even make a Marine, so I believe Kiyoum did spot that with his scout. No, he didn't. He actually he's making his way up there now. That was Ruff scout, which was leaving his base, so he's going to have full knowledge of what's happening. A Reaper going to be coming out for Ruff, so he's going to be making his way into the base of Kiyoum, hoping to take down an SCV or two and get good scouting, and he's going to find double refineries going up for Kiyoum, so it's not going to be that fast expansion. Instead, I think it's going to be a very techy play coming from our Teal Terran.
Yeah, that was a rather interesting switch. It was the dual refineries happening before the command center was established. So normally you establish down that command center and then you go into that double refinery. We can see that there are 3 Marines, and what is this? A command center at the gold mineral patch of Shattered Temple. We have seen this
Nice.
before.
Yeah, so using that Reaper to take down the destructible rocks there, and I believe he comes out with a second or perhaps even third Reaper to try to take those down, get that very fast economic advantage. And Ruff looks like he's addicted to the gold minerals, as taking a fast gold in the last game and taking a fast gold in this game. And Kiyoum's not going to be able to really punish this right now. He's just getting up his factory. He's getting that double gas, so might actually go for that Banshee play. We'll see what happens, but he's getting up his own command center. But that's just going to be at those normal, boring blue minerals.
Yeah, not those exciting, gold minerals over here in the center portion of the map. I think if we remember the timing, right as the third Reaper comes in, the third Reaper is able to throw in 2, perhaps 3 D8 charges, and that is just enough as the command center is going to lift off and then try to land. And the timing on Ruff's on Ruff's triple Reaper expansion at the gold will come down to the wire once again. Let's see, does it... Yeah, just absolutely perfect. Ruff knows this build inside and out, and now we are going to be seeing what SCV is already being transferred over, upgrade to an orbital command, and perhaps even mules being called down there, as we are now going into double reactors. A very smart move by Ruff, as Ruff now going to come in with those Reapers, but running straight into a squadron of Marines, and he is forced to be pushed back or pull back right now.
And I wonder if Kiyoum is wondering about the delay on those Reapers. Typically if you scout that quick tech lab and the Reaper coming out, you think, okay, the Reaper's going to come into my base, and the next few seconds have to be prepared for it. I hope I get enough Marines out in time, but Kiyomi instead seeing those 3 Reapers sort of pop up at a leisurely pace, a little bit late, and wondering maybe what they've been doing the last few minutes, and they've been taking down those rocks, getting up the orbital command at this gold, and that orbital and the gold are up and running with mules being dropped already, and already Ruff really enjoying quite a an economy lead, about 1,400 minerals per minute compared to the about 1,100 for Kiyomi. So that's an extra few Marines a minute can make a huge deal.
Yep, Viking able to take control of the Central Zelnaga Watchtower. Now going to be doing a little bit of scouting. Very interesting to see where that one Viking's going to go. You can see also the Reaper going to come along the backside here. It looks as though the Reapers are going to be able to get some easy damage onto the orbital command here. The siege tanks and the Marines being forced to come back over. Reapers able to get off some damage onto those SCVs. The Reaper finally getting taken down there, but I think all Ruff was really trying to do was buy time. He is currently supply blocked at 46 over 46, so quickly retraining up those units already, and we'll see what's going to go down as another supply depot being added here. The army of Kiyomi, much larger, with 325 gas compared to 0 gas, so only 14 Marines from Ruff. Will Ruff have enough to fend off this upcoming attack, or is Kiyomi just expecting and saying, you know what, I'm going to defend my natural expansion, not knowing how far behind he is?
Kiyomi does not have siege tech though. That's about a third of the way done, and Ruff's going to be seeing this push as it moves out and might actually delay it a little bit. Looks like he will be pulling back, so trying to rally all these Marines. He's finishing up his 5th and 6th barracks, actually a 7th and 8th going up as well. So if he's able to delay this push for just a few more minutes, maybe actually waiting for the siege tech to finish from Kiyomi, he could perhaps defend it with just a huge amount of Marines.
Yeah, on top of that, level 1 weapons upgrade just completed at the 9-minute 30-second mark. There was a lot of idle SCVs for some reason. Yeah. Ruff is now finally moving over those SCVs as well. As you're going to see, those units are going to be moving in, but the Vespian Geyser is finally going to get those refineries down as he needs to get a little bit more gas tech. Siege tanks are sieging, and the Viking does spot a bunker there, and the Marines are now trying to push in. This may be a little bit of a problem as the siege tanks are trying to split up. The Vikings are going to try to push in, and it looks like the siege tanks have been destroyed. Down goes a medevac as well, as Ruff now coming out ahead with a much larger army. That level 1 weapons upgrade definitely helping.
And Kiyomi spotted that bunker, or just the glimpse of that bunker by the gold, so he's not going to be feeling too good if he realizes that Ruff has already had that gold up and running. I'm sure he doesn't know that it's been up and running for several minutes now. Ruff getting that so quickly, and an engineering bay going up for Kiyomi, so he's going to try to get these upgrades working. As we do see Ruff, as you mentioned, already had that +1 finish, so we've got +1 defense coming for the bio of Ruff as he is looking to push out here, and it's still just all Marines and Marauders. We'll see whether he decides to add any sort of higher tech medevacs here at this point, but it looks like he's going to be expanding to his own natural now instead. So just going to be defending at this point, taking his army and economic advantage, and really riding into the mid game.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, or I guess not surprising, since it is coming from Ruff, Ruff still does not have a factory, so he will not be able to even start an armory in order to get level 2 weapons upgrade, nor will he have any way to go into medevac play as he now expands into the 9 o'clock position. Apparently, Ruff taking a play from the Zerg playbook, trying to double expand and trying to stay 2 bases up on his opponent.
I don't even know what's going on here. Typically we'd see maybe a factory added, some medevacs, and Ruff is just, I guess he's going with all basic units here. They're going to be 1-1 in a second. He's going to need to add some more barracks on. It looks like finally now adding a factory and adding supply depots 3 at a time, hoping to keep up with this production. We'll see. I guess he's going to have orbital commands here at his natural and the natural of the western position. He only has 44 harvesters though, so he's definitely going to need, as we see another base be added, pretty standard here I guess, as we see a stim coming up here, an engagement coming in, but nice siege positioning by Kiyomi, and he's going to take a healthy chunk out of Ruff's army.
Yeah, that was not a good engagement by Ruff. Ruff now down by 20 food, but then again, he is going into his fifth base now on the top left side of the map, using multiple orbital commands. It looks like all of these SCVs, Ruff should really start mining from that Vespian Geyser rather quickly. Otherwise, in order to be able to move that orbital command to a different location, we can see that SCVs are already starting to mine at the gold mineral patches, as well as Kiom looking to establish that there.
Looks like Kiyo's going to be pushing out, but Ruff does have this tower, so he knows it's coming. Going to be splitting his units here, maybe trying to do a little bit of a flank as we see some units off to the east, perhaps going for a counter into the gold. Going to make Kiyo think twice about coming out here, and Ruff might be able to take down a number of SCVs here, as well as the gold base stimming up. Going to try to focus down the SCVs first, and then the command center. Kiyo doing his best, having to pull back and siege up, but he is going to be denied here for just a few minutes here, and Ruff's not going to be allowing his opponent to take his own gold. So while Ruff is working on his 4th and 5th bases, he's basically denying the 3rd from Kiyo. So I feel like if Ruff is able to continue with his production, get out some medevacs, he's definitely going to be able to take a strong lead in the mid and late game.
Yeah, I think it's going to really turn into a crazy, crazy macro battle. Unfortunately for Ruff, Ruff has a lot of low hit point units in the center portion of the map. He's now finally going into, triple training medevacs. He could add another reactor as well, as we'll see. And what he's going to really be doing this in the long run, still not mining that much gas. Only 3 refineries at this stage in the game. We're 15 minutes in. He's mining off of 5 bases and 3 refineries.
Yeah, and we see his SCV count 48, so still 12 behind his opponent, which means his army is going to be that much bigger. He's got all these orbital commands, so using mules to their full effectiveness, and now he's sort of posturing in the mid. He's going to make Kiyo siege up a number of times before he can finally push across the map here, and we'll see whether Ruff's huge economy is going to be able to allow him to catch up in the army counting station. It's 171 to 163. Just a minute or two ago, Ruff was actually down by about 20 food, as we see a scan going off, and Ruff going for a huge counter here, so maybe a little bit of a base race. And if Kiyo and Ruff trade bases here 1 for 1, Ruff definitely going to come out ahead, as he does have the...
And I believe I may have lost my partner. All right, so Ruff now coming in. There is a planetary fortress in position. SCVs are trying to repair it. That planetary fortress quickly getting taken down. Marines also trying to push at that planetary fortress as well. But there's pretty much only 1 mineral patch left, so not very much going on there. As Ruff now pushes in with a very large army, perhaps going to try to win this base race, running straight into the main base. And you can see that there's only production buildings and not much else. Siege tanks and Marines are trying to fight back. Ruff rallied into the wrong location here. This is not looking good. Who has the larger army? It looks like Kiyo has the larger army, as a lot of Ruff's units are just currently trapped inside their own base. They have really nowhere to go, but command centers are being destroyed. Kiyo is currently lifting off command centers left and right. Another command center being destroyed here, as this is going into a crazy, crazy game. Quick check to see if Matron's here.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm watching like you are, and we see the base race going on. Kiyo has all these very high hit point units just slicing through Ruff's base at this point. Ruff has all these very low, perhaps overstimmed units in Kiyo's base. Ruff does still have the orbital command advantage, so we'll see how this one basically plays out. Ruff adding a number of barracks over into the western position, the same place that Kiyo actually landing a few of his barracks. So we'll see Ruff in the southern part here, and Kiyo in the north, as they're both taking out the remaining few buildings in the mains and naturals. And this is a crazy one. I'm not sure how it's going to play out.
Yeah, definitely not sure how it's going to play out. Ruff now taking a look at the harvester count, 30 SCVs compared to 0 for Kiyo. So Kiyo doesn't have an SCV to his name. That means that he can't even build any units. He has the minerals to train up some Marines, but without supply, he's pretty much going to be stuck. You can see that there is an orbital command off over here. Oh, Ruff does not check the orbital command location. It was lifted off, and that is going to be a huge, huge hit and a huge, huge loss, as those other buildings are now going to start floating off once again. Ruff needs to lift off this orbital command. Will it be able to hide itself in time? That is the question, as Ruff now builds a command center at the 6 o'clock starting location, or the expansion location.
if we check the army tab, it is 4,400 to 3,400, but Ruff does have a lot of minerals, so he really needs to use these barracks, which he still has, and he just landed, it looks like 6 barracks in the old main of Kium. He needs to use those to basically add to his force, and he does not want to engage until he can get out more and more units. Kium is not going to be able to produce any units here. He doesn't have any supply depots, and it looks like Ruff doesn't either, so I was wrong there. He's going to have to come out with a lot of supply depots before he can do anything, and this one's interesting. I'm not sure how it's going to play out.
Yeah, really not sure how it's going to play out. Kiom now cleared out those rocks. I'm not quite sure what's going down. Ruff going to lose another supply depot here, unfortunately, as the Marines are now trying to reestablish themselves in the center. The longer this game goes, it's really going to come down to the medevacs. The Marines of Kiom are upgraded 2-1. Meanwhile, Ruff is only upgraded 1-1, so Ruff has a smaller army and also has less upgrades, so that is definitely not good news. As you can see that the Marines are currently looking around for that additional orbital command hiding off on the bottom right hand side of the base. Barracks also floating around as well. What is Ruff going to do in order to get back into this?
So at the very end, somebody needs a command center and SCVs and money to be able to make a Viking or something that can take down barracks, or else we're going to end with some sort of draw, as Ruff right now just trying to avoid the army of Kium. Kium has that slightly slower army. He's going to want to siege up before he goes into any sort of engagement, and Ruff just going to try to play ring around the rosy and run away from Kium's army. Kium might be able to take down an orbital command here and stop mining for Ruff. Ruff does have the orbital, or now planetary fortress, excuse me, going on in the south, so he does have mining going, and he's got 5 SCVs, but again, he doesn't have any sort of supply depots to be able to create more and more forces, so I'm not quite sure what the best course of action here is for Ruff. He has taken down not all of the orbital commands from his opponent, just the one still floating around, a missile turret taking on a barracks there. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure either. Oh, Ruff has to get out of here in a moment. There is going to be some siege tanks. Marines are now going to engage. This is not looking good. Both sides going to be pushing in. But Kiom, a little bit outside of range. The Marines are going to be pulling back. Now fighting in once again. The siege tanks out of combat range. But I think Kiom is going to take this. And now this is going to be very interesting, as Kiom did have 2-1 upgrades and a larger Marine army. But the fact of the matter is, it's really going to come down to the starport. And by losing so many units, it actually freed up enough supply for Ruff to go orbital command and barracks hunting. So this is going to be a very strange game. As we can see, perhaps Ruff going to start training up a Viking or two in order to save himself.
Yeah, a Viking or two, but all Kium really has to do is land a building right next to his army, and the Vikings aren't going to be able to take it on. I mean, the Vikings can take down the buildings as they float away, as we see Kium doing his best to micro and take down buildings here for Ruff. A barracks will go down, so Ruff still has a lot of units left, and he's floating them into the corners of the base. And if we check the harvester count, Kium has no harvesters. He does have a base, and he's got energy in the bottom right corner. So in the end, I think he's going to be able to take this one. He's trying to take down the planetary fortress for Ruff at this point. But we will have, I believe, maybe a Banshee coming out for Ruff. He's adding a tech lab.
Okay, he doesn't have enough gas for a Banshee right now, so this is really interesting. This is going to really come down to the wire. Is he going to get enough gas? No, he doesn't get enough gas, as a drop now comes into play. And that without a command center, all of Ruff's buildings are revealed. The Viking, however, getting some free shots onto a medevac, as the Marines were unable to get nearby. And it looks like more Marines are coming in, and I still don't know what to make of this game.
All right, I think Ruff has pretty much lost it. He didn't know that the orbital command was in the bottom right, and yeah, he's gonna have to give the GG here. He only has the one Viking, and it's down to 21 hit points. It's not gonna be able to take down these remaining buildings. So there's the GG from Ruff. Wow, that was a crazy game.
Yeah,
you say TVT is boring?
Yeah, well, who expects a base race with a
5 base?
Yeah, who expects 5 base with a Reaper fast expand into the gold mineral patches ever? So, yes, it looks like we will be going into a Game 7. So, I think running a little bit long for Wednesday night StarCraft. But then again, if you've been with us for so long, you're probably just happy to see more games. Stay tuned for Game 7.